Okay, let's start. Today, we're gonna learn about security techniques. I'm clear now. Are you hearing? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, let's start. Today, we're gonna talk about security techniques, and our objective will be to define security techniques. That's the first objective, and the second one is describe various types of security techniques. So, kindly someone to read for me. Okay, let me define for you the term security technique. And I'll say that security technique is a way in which you can secure yourself, maybe online or offline, so that you don't have any unauthorized person accessing the information or uh, your computer or even your uh, phone or any gadget that you have that maybe is connected to internet or any electronics. And so we would like to look on various types of security techniques, and we have many of them. We have passwords, we have encryptions, we have privileges, we have also authorization. Um, so we would like to start with password. Can somebody read for us what's a password and read for us what you're seeing on your screen? Kindly. Can you hear me? Kindly, for those who are seeing my screen, can someone read for me uh, what's a password?
Yes,
Yes, read.
password is like key to your personal home online. You should do everything you can to prevent people from getting access to your password. You can also further secure your account by using additional authentication methods.
Yes, thank you, Sylvester, for that. A passwords are like your personal home online that you should do everything you can prevent people from gaining access to your password. And also, your password can be secured by the use of additional authentication methods that may be through two-factor authentication or maybe single factor, or also some use capture methods that you can be allowed to say choose a picture that contain maybe a ship or sometimes a crosswalk in pictures. So you select those that are available. Now let's go to our next one. Still in password continuation. You can say that password can be inconvenient, but they are important if you want to keep information safe. Protection of your personal information starts with stop, think, then connect. Take security precautions. Think about consequences of your action online and enjoy the internet with a peace of mind. Here are some of simple ways that you can secure your passwords. You can look at that. We have password creation. Can you read for me the make your password a sentence kindly?
Make your password a sentence. A strong password is a sentence that is at least 12 characters long. Focus on positive sentences or phrases that you like to think about and are easy to remember. For example, I love country music. On many sites, you can even use spaces.
Okay, thank you for that. You can say that the first step is make your password a sentence, something that is easy to remember. Then you can see on a unique account or unique password. Can somebody read for me that? Like having a separate password from each account? Just read. Okay, maybe because of time, I can read it faster so then you can finish earlier. It says having a separate password for every account helps to avoid cyber criminals. At a minimum, separate your work and personal account and make sure that your critical accounts have a strongest password, e.g., maybe using access of bank accounts online. Make that to be something stronger and not related to you in any way that somebody can guess or can somebody can crack. Also, the third step is write it down and keep it safe. Make it like for you to easy to remember. You can write it down and keep it safe. That everyone can forget password. Keep it at least that stores in a safe, secure place away from a computer. You can alternatively use a service like Password Manager to keep track of your password. Can somebody tell me one way, which maybe one way of using a password manager? An example of a password manager. Yes, somebody to tell me kindly. I'm not hearing you. Yes, kindly let's talk. Don't be a silent in a group.
Will you repeat the question?
I'm saying, can you at least tell me one way of using password manager or which application uses you can use in keeping your passwords, maybe to manage your passwords?
We have Google.
Yes, you can store it in a Google. I see like Google Chrome have a way you can save your password so that you don't have to enter it every time. But if somebody can access your Google, you can be able to log into any account that is stored in your Google account. So sometimes you have to be careful on who can access your computer. Okay, let's go and look at the next thing, which will be encryption. And we can say that encryption is a process of encoding a message or an information in such a way that only authorized parties can access it. That's a way like sending a message only to a person that is having your number, and you can send it to that guy or that person only. You can say that encryption does not on of itself prevent interface, but it denies the intelligible content that will be intercepted. And we can say also that in an encryption scheme, the intended information or a message refers as a plain text is encrypted using a encryption algorithm. We could talk about algorithm later, but for now, let's just uh, talk about see how we can generate that. And also, we can use generating ciphertext that can only be read if decrypted. So when sending a message, you have to encrypt, and then the person receiving it have to decrypt the message so that you can read what is being sent. Now let's look on types of encryption. Then we have the first one is private key, which is a symmetric scheme. The encryption and decryption keys are the same. That one, the one that is being sent used to encode the message in sending is same as the one that is being used during decoding the message. Okay. The next one is public key encryption scheme. The encryption key is published for anyone to use and encrypt the message. However, the only the receiving party has access to the decryption key that enables the message to be read. That means that when you are sending, everybody that is sending a message have a key that is same for each and everyone. But on decoding, the say, receiver end is different that from each other, meaning you can decode a message for a different person. Now let's look at authentication, and you can say that authentication is the process of determining whether someone or something is the fact that who he is. For example, you call yourself like you are the principal. So authentication is to ensure that it is you who is the principal, not somebody else trying to use your name to be like a principal. So logically, authentication precedes authorization, although they may often seem to be combined. We'll talk about authorization later, but let's deal with authentication. It come hand in hand. Then you can say these two terms are often used synonymously, but they are two different processes. And then we can see difference between authorization and authentication. In authentication, we can say it's a process in which the credentials provided are compared to those in the file in a database of authorized users. Information on local operating system or within authentication server. The process of administrator granting rights and the process of checking user account permission for access to resources are both referred as authorization. That is what's the difference between authentication and authorization. That we can say that our authorization is a way of granting access or giving rights to a person. You may be authenticated to log in, but you are not given rights maybe to view maybe finance in an institution, but you can be able to view maybe a faculty, maybe department or any other, but you're not allowed to access everything in the website or in wherever you are. Okay, let's look now about authorization and consider that authorization is a function of specifying access rights to resources related to information security and computer security, which is in general is to access control in particular. For more, to authorize is to define access policy. For example, a human resource staff is normally authorized to access employee records, and this policy is usually formalized as access control rules in a computer system, as I have talked about it in our previous slides. Anyway, let's look on our last thing, which is privileges, and you can say that a privilege is defined as a delegation of authority over a computer system. A privilege allows a user to perform an action. Example of a privilege will include an ability to create a file in the directory, or to read or to delete a file, access or a device, or to have a read or write permission to a socket of communicating over the internet users who have been. Usually, we were given permission or a privilege, maybe, for example, to copy a content for a person from a website, or to write or to edit. That's a privilege. Like, for example, when we're using a model resource format, you have to enable the edit mode that gives you a privilege to edit or to add users. That's how we are given the privilege to do whatever you are to do. Like another example is, for example, in an exam format, the examination officer is having the ability to change, maybe to add or to uh, update marks for each and every student. And we, unlike where maybe a teacher is not able to given the access to modify any exam that has been entered into the system. Anyway, we are done for today. We'll talk next time. And I want to leave you with an assignment on security threats in a network. And let's say somebody was a question before we conclude our today class. Any question?
No,
Yes, any question? How was the class?
class was interactive.
Yeah, but a little bit you are a little bit quiet, but at least we talked. And I hope everyone have an access to a resource that I've sent to you. I'll send you more resources later so that you can check on and kindly read on
Okay,
security threats and so on. I'll see you next time. You have a
thank you.
lovely day.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.